for his lost servant. But it was shortened to Loving Search for the Lost Servant. So here in this introduction, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, this is like, inspiration in the heart of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but it is also, a mood of the Lord, which is described in the scriptures. And so here, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is giving, this, giving this conception from that basis. So I was thinking that maybe we can ask, do you think it would work if we had a few others also read a little sometimes, so it's a little more interactive? Do you think that would work?
I'll volunteer for sure.
Okay, cool. Do you want to start then?
Let me get there. I gotta get my Kindle fired up here.
We want to be as interactive as possible.
Sounds good. The Loving Search for the Lost Servant. And,
so we're on page 3, introduction.
All right. Not the invocation, right?
We finished going through that.
There it is. I found it. Introduction. Here we go. The Lord's loving search for his lost servants. There?
Yes.
Great intensity is expressed here in a simple way. It is a mad search, an urgent campaign. With great earnestness, Krishna comes to deliver his lost servants. Krishna comes to take us home. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it is written that once, as Krishna and the cows were returning from the Vrindavan,
your internet's cutting out.
End of the day, a boy. Yeah, we're on a mountain out in the. Yeah, so tell me if I walk up the hill, it'll be better. One moment. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it is written that once, as Krishna and the cows were returning from the Vrindavana forest, at the end of the day, a boy had just attained spiritual emancipation and entered Vrindavana as a cowherd boy, Sakya Rasa. Seeing his long lost friends were astounded, thinking he's lost his senses by embracing this newcomer. How is it possible? Astonished, Balaram came to Krishna's relief.
You know what, Jayadeva? I don't think it's going to work.
Okay.
You're cutting out kind of up.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay. What about Chintamani? Do you have a strong internet? Maybe not. Okay.
No, Didi, I don't have a strong enough internet. I'm in the same boat as Jayadeva.
I'm almost up. I'm almost up the hill.
Uh-huh. Okay, Emil, what about you? Do you
I'm almost up the hill.
Emil, do you want to read something?
I would prefer not to.
It should be up. How is it now? It should be better now.
Yeah, it's sounding okay now.
Yeah, it has to do with where we're standing. This is the stronger internet connection here. So does it sound okay?
Yeah, so far.
All right, well, stop me immediately if it doesn't sound good.
Okay.
So where did you last hear? Did we hear how Balaram came to Krishna's relief?
Start from the beginning of that paragraph. All of Krishna's other cowherd friends.
Okay, and stop me right away if it gets too weird internet-wise.
Sure.
In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it is written that once, as Krishna and the cows were returning from the Vrindavana forest, at the end of the day, a boy had just attained spiritual emancipation and entered Vrindavana as a cowherd boy, Sakya Rasa. Seeing his long-lost servant, Krishna, embraced him, and both of them fainted in ecstasy. All of Krishna's other cowherd friends were astounded, thinking, what is this? Krishna has lost his senses by embracing this newcomer? How is it possible? Then, as all of the cowherd boys looked on astonished, Balaram came to Krishna's relief and somehow managed to rouse him. Then Krishna addressed his friend with great affection. Why did you stay away? Why have you been living away from home for so long? How was it possible for you? How could you bear my separation? You left me, and you have been passing lives after lives without me? Still, I know what trouble you took to return to me. You searched for me everywhere, and you went to beg from house to house, and you were chastised by many, ridiculed by many, and you shed tears for me. I know all these things. I was with you. And now, after great trouble, you have again come back to me. In this way, Krishna addressed his long-lost servant and welcomed him. And when Krishna returned home, he took the newcomer by his side to take prasadam. In this way, a new recruit is earnestly welcomed by Krishna himself. So the Lord's search for his lost servants is a loving search. It is not ordinary, but from the heart. And the Lord's heart is not an ordinary heart. Who can estimate what type of search he is engaged in? Although he is full in all respects, he still feels pangs of separation for every one of us, however small we may be. In spite of his supreme position, he has room for us in a corner of his loving heart. This is the nature of the infinite. Such an absolute autocrat, absolute good is Krishna. Should I keep going or? Or commenting?
Well, I mean, just one thing came to mind. It's just how we're living in such an unconscious state, because actually our condition is very desperate, and it's like under the influence of the material energy, it's like being under an anesthesia, and you don't feel the pain that you're in. But if that anesthesia was removed, you would be in unbearable pain. Like, if you're having some operation or, dental surgery or whatever, heart transplant, whatever, it would be unbearable. So in the same way, our condition is actually, extremely tragic and unbearably painful. That's our condition in this world. And why? Because our intrinsic identity is as the servant of the Lord. But at present, we are disconnected from that. What is most close to our heart? What is most intrinsic to our nature? What is our deepest necessity? We are at present separated from that, and we're not even aware of that. So, there's one expression of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he's saying, Vinod kohe hai Haridas, Hari nahi pai. Alas, alas, the servant of Hari is separate from Hari. The servant of the Lord does not have the Lord. Because Haridas is a name, but it also literally means servant of the Lord. So there's like a play on words there. So Haridas, who is the servant of the Lord? Hari nahi pai, simple Bengali. He does not have Hari. So what type of a tragic situation is that? In your heart, you're an American, but you've been denied entry to America, or you're a Swede, but you've been denied entry to Sweden. Like, the thing that you identify with the most is being denied to you. But we're not, but we, we're not conscious that that's the tragedy of it all, that we're not conscious of that. But here, hearing this, it's like, it kind of like pokes at us, like it's a reminder, like, wake up, you need to realize what your situation is, like the Lord is crying to see our situation. And he's hunting after us, trying to wake us up in different ways and trying to bring us back to our real home and our real need and our real prospect. So, he has this feeling in his heart. And then the fortunate souls, and then Krishna's describing here, like when that need begins to awaken with within somebody's heart, when those covers begin to be removed, when the anesthesia is taken away, then like there, as it's being expressed here, you know, you've taken so much trouble to return to me. You searched for me everywhere. You went to beg house to house. You know, you shed tears for me. Like this is how we should all feel. This is like the normal. This is a normal feeling. Anything other than this is not normal. Actually, it means that we're living in a dulled and dumb state of existence. Our senses have been dulled if we're not feeling like this. So this is the healthy feeling. You know, this is the feeling of someone whose consciousness is awakened. And that has been beautifully shown, beautifully demonstrated in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, he comes to this world posing as one of us, posing as an ordinary person. And in his life, in this world, she demonstrated what type of hunger and desperation and earnestness everyone should feel who's living in a state of separation from their Lord. So, you know, it's a wake-up call, like what we should be feeling and what the Lord is feeling. You know, actually the Lord, he is complete. He's described as Purna. He's full, he's complete. He doesn't need us, he doesn't need anything. But this is like one of his divine plays, you know, because he's interested in love. So this is a part of the exchange of love that he desires, where, you know, as a result of that play of love that he desires, he feels this separation, he feels some deficiency in that sense. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying, he feels pangs of separation for every one of us, however small we may be. In spite of his supreme position, he has room for us in a corner of his loving heart. This is the nature of the infinite. There is space for each and every one of us. He has some need for each and every one of us. This is so comforting to the heart, so wonderful, so encouraging to hear this. That's what comes to mind. Does anyone else want to share anything? Or we can continue. Prabhu, you want to continue?
Sure, Didi. Yeah, hopefully it's still going through nicely on the data plan here. Such an absolute autocrat. Absolute good is Krishna. An autocrat is not under law. It is not that if Krishna gives himself to one, another will be lacking. The infinite is not like that. Rather, there is an infinite supply at his command. So he is the emporium of rasa, akila rasamrita murti. And he is searching for his lost servants to bring them home. Otherwise, we have no hope. Our solace, our consolation in life is that ultimately we are under the care of such a loving Lord. Krishna's friends think, what do we care for others? We have our Krishna, our friend. That sort of inner encouragement, that desperate encouragement comes from within. Krishna is there. He is our friend. What do we care about anything? We could take poison. We can jump on the head of a big serpent, Kaliya. We can do anything. With Krishna behind us, what do we care? This sentiment is expressed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sharanagati. Rasika koribo tuhum nischaya jani, pana korobun hama yamuna pani. Fearless and confident of your protection, I shall drink the waters of the Yamuna, whether they are poisoned or not. I am your property. You must take care of me. You can't leave me. Kaliya doka karobi vinasha shodhobi nadi jala bardobi asha Bhaktivinoda tuva gokula dhana rakhobi keshava korato jatana. Although the Kaliya's serpent's venom has poisoned the Yamuna's waters, I know that that poison will not act. Your presence will cleanse the waters, and so increase our confidence in your protection. Bhakti-Vinod is now the
Prabhu, you know,
property
you're breaking up a lot
of
again.
Gokula, your holy abode. O Keshava,
Jaidev, Prabhu,
kindly protect him with care. And a comment.
Jaidev, Prabhu, you're breaking up quite a lot.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
of the things that happened is I think my data plan went over, so they throttled me.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, it would be nice if you could do the reading, because actually your pronunciation is very nice. Maybe next time if your internet's okay, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I
can hear you. Yes, I know. I can hear you perfectly. Just so you know.
Okay, we can hear you, Jai. It's very breaking up a lot. So let's leave it for now. So at one point, which is so beautiful, is this it's such a beautiful meditation that the infinite is not here. It's saying that it is not that if Krishna gives himself to one, another will be lacking. The infinite is not like that. Hello? Sorry, Prabhu, we really can't hear. We just hear static. Jaidev, we can't hear you at all. We just hear static. Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know what that was. Okay, so this conception that there's an infinite supply at the Lord's command, and that if he gives himself to one, it's not that somebody else will be lacking, because this is actually something it's a very nice meditation, because this is something that it's like a fundamental issue that we come across in this world. Actually, one meaning of the word Maya, which is how the illusory energy is referred to. One meaning of the word Maya is measurement, which is a very interesting concept, because we live in this world with a very limited and very calculating consciousness, and this is also tied up with the spirit of envy, which is also a very fundamental issue in this world. Because what is the point of, like, what is the point surrounding envy? That we're afraid there isn't enough of whatever it is for everyone. There isn't enough prestige, there isn't enough honor, there isn't enough resources, there isn't enough position or whatever. There isn't enough, and we need to be better. And if somebody else is appreciated, that means we are not being appreciated. It's like with little kids, right? I mean, it's something that we all struggle with, but actually, like, sometimes I see children as like a microcosm of the whole human condition, because in a very like pronounced and exaggerated way, they are displaying our human weaknesses. We like, when you get older, you get a little smart, and you like start to like try to cover up all your insecurities and the envy that you have and all these things, but with little kids, they're not developed enough to be able to cover for themselves. And so it's like you gave a toy to child number one, then child number two is crying. What about me? I want a toy. What about me? Or you praise one child and the other child is angry and upset because they didn't get praised. So this is the issue that we have, that we think there isn't enough to go around. And we think if that person gets praised, it means we're being neglected. We think there isn't enough love for everyone. There isn't enough appreciation for everyone. There's a limited supply. You know, we all have this like kind of like chip on our shoulder about that issue. And actually, this is one of the things that was so profound about being in the company of our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, because he had this very heavy potency about him. And so just being in his presence, we all felt that there was this subtle reciprocation going on. You know, even if he wasn't giving you like his direct personal attention, even if he wasn't directly speaking to you or even directly, you know, looking at you or speaking to you, we felt this deep connection with him. I was just speaking about that a little earlier with Kanupriya here, you know, like just sitting in front of him, his eyes glancing over you, you felt this deep, on the level of eternity, like on the level of your soul, there was this incredible deep reciprocation that went on. So it was like, it was like you realized like there's enough love for all of us, you know. It's not like if he's giving attention to someone else, we're not getting love, we're not getting attention. And then because of that, like we were so happy to do the smallest things for him. Like, you know, like if you could hand him a pen, if you could turn on a light switch, we all felt this was an incredible privilege, you know. And I know like for people who haven't experienced it, we may sound like weird cult members. Because if you haven't experienced it, it's difficult to convey. But it was really that just like the atmosphere around him and his presence was so potent that we felt so satisfied. Like if you could hand him a glass of water, you know, if you could clean the floor in his room, it was like this profound experience. And there was this deep reciprocation that went on with him. So that experience with him, it's for me, it was like a window into what the spiritual world is like, what the dealings are like in that world, you know, where like every moment and every instant is pregnant, like for lack of a better word, is pregnant, is heavy with spiritual energy, with conscious, everything is full in that plane. And there's more than enough for everyone. There's enough supply for everyone. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he told this one story, how one time he was in Vrindavan with his guru Maharaj, Srila Saraswati Thakur, and he described this very like ordinary, very mundane incident that took place. That Saraswati Thakur, his guru, he walked into the place where he was staying. He was wearing some shoes. And then you know, normally in Indian culture, we don't wear our shoes inside, right? So Saraswati Thakur, he took off his shoes and then he stepped inside. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj was behind him and he thought, oh, this is an opportunity for me to do some service. So he went and took up the shoes. So Saraswati Thakur didn't have to pick them up himself. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj picked up these shoes, and then Saraswati Thakur turned around to go and pick them up himself. And he saw that Srila Sridhar Maharaj had already picked them up. And then he looked at him, and in this very gentle and very sweet voice, he told him, I will take it. No, I will take the shoes. No. And you know, there's a recording of Srila Sridhar Maharaj describing this like for 10 or 15 minutes. This like tiny, like this is like a 5-second transaction. Like if we think in our daily lives of all these little things that go on, like every instant, all these little things that we're doing, right? Waking up, brushing teeth, taking a shower, putting on clothes, turning on lights, turning on computer, like in the day, there's like a million of these instants that take place. But in the company of these kinds of persons, every one of those incidents takes on this infinite kind of import. You know, it takes on this this characteristic of infinity. You know, every moment is full in connection with that higher plane. Every moment is full, and that divine reality is also expanding and evolving. So, you know, it's like this head shift that has to take place. Like, we are approaching a world that is infinite, that is full, and is ever increasing. You know, so there's no lack for anyone of it for anyone. You know, there's enough love, there's enough food, there's enough wealth, there's enough space for every single one of us. And you know, there's no deficiency. It's not that, oh, sorry. You know, like I've heard, like, even in some, I mean, not to be disrespectful to anyone, but I do find it a bit odd. Like, I've heard in some traditions, they say, like, there's a limited number of spaces in heaven. You know, like, there's not enough space for everyone. I mean, no offense, but to me, that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. So, you know, the descriptions that we hear about divinity, you know, according to the scriptures, is that there's more than enough for everyone, you know? And the key is entering into the mode of dedication. You know, if you enter into the mode of dedication, you connect with a totally different plane of reality, completely different. You know, then the material energy will come to serve you. You know, we mentioned recently, I think, the example of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, right? He came to America with a few dollars in his pocket, and within a few years, you know, he had thousands of persons around the world, you know, following him wholeheartedly. You know, so many resources at his disposal. Like if the finite takes this posture in connection with the infinite, the posture of surrender, then the infinite comes at the disposal of the finite. This is a very, like, curious and mystical thing. If the finite makes this link of love and dedication to the center, to the infinite, then everything comes at their disposal. Suddenly there's so much bounty. You know, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gave one charming example that he said, he was speaking about one of his godbrothers, and he said that he grew up in a place that was far away from the Ganges River, the Ganga. Normally, like, when we go to India, we go to Bengal. That's where our main center is. So, like, the Ganges is very plentiful everywhere. But this particular godbrother, he grew up in a place that was far away in India, but far from the Ganges. And so Ganges water, of course, is considered precious, right? And so like, people who live far from the Ganges, they often will keep some pot of Ganges water. Like many of our Western devotees, when they go to India, they might fill up a jug or two and then bring it back to their country. And then they're, like, using a few drops every day for purification, for worship, things like this. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj described this godbrother who, they, like, in his home, they had some little pot of Ganges water. And every day they'd use, like, a little drop, a few drops here, a few drops there. And, you know, it was like something very precious and rare, you know, to be used very sparingly. And then one day, this was as a boy, and then one day his father had some work in Calcutta, and he took his son with him. And the Ganges flows through Calcutta. It's known as the Hooghly there, but it's the Ganges. And then for the first time as a boy, he saw this, like, great expanse of the Ganges River. And he saw, you know, people are swimming in that water. You know, people are bathing in that water. People are like riding boats in that water. They're washing their clothes in that water. And he was so struck by that because he's like, gosh, like, at home, we're, like, using a little drop, 2 drops every day. But here there's this bountiful like supply, you know, that you could even swim in it. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he described how he used this as an analogy for joy. How he was saying in the material world, joy is like a rare and precious commodity, you know, like you know, normally it's like, you know, you'll work hard most of your day or most of your year, and then you'll have like at the end of your day you'll have like maybe a few moments of relaxation, joy, or you know, or like some people they'll like work hard the whole year and only get like 2 weeks off, right, when they can do what they want. So, you know, like in this world we work so hard, and joy is something fleeting, something precious. It's not something that we have instant easy access to. But then Srila Sridhar was saying, but in the spiritual world, you know, for the devotee of Krishna, he was saying, you know, there's an infinite supply of joy. You know, he was quoting these verses from Brahma Samhita. What are those verses? Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataraho Yuma Bhumish Chintamani Ganamayi Toyam Amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Priyashaki Priyavamsi Shaki. Very beautiful verses describing Goloka Vrindavan. How all the trees are wish-fulfilling trees. All the water is like nectar. The earth is made of conscious touchstone. Every step is a dance. Every word is song. Very, very beautiful verse. So yeah, it's like, you know, in this world, you know, happiness, joy, real fulfillment, it's something meager, it's something limited. But in that higher, and this is another point in this world, our happiness depends upon somebody else suffering as a result of that. You know, I mean, it's something quite heavy for us to contemplate, but it's really the truth. I mean, if we don't think about it, but look at these phones, all these devices that we're using, like the degree of exploit. If we were actually to sit down and think about the chain of exploitation behind everything that we use in our daily lives, from the food that we eat, you know, to the devices that we're using, to the clothes that we're wearing. I mean, we just could not get out of bed in the morning. If we were to really think about it, you know, if I think about like the mango I ate a few hours ago, like that came like thousands of miles away, could have been picked by some like child laborer who's not being paid properly, you know, like I mean, we can't think about it too much. We couldn't do anything. So that is another thing about this world, like, you know, and we're all very privileged people here, you know, we're all very, you know, even if we don't have much money, we're very privileged that we can live at the standard that we do. You know, but like how many millions of people in the world, you know, don't have enough to eat every day, you know, don't have, you know, are not literate, you know, like we're living in a kind of bubble, and we're not really directly seeing every day the dark face of this world. But it's something that we have to be, you know, we have to be reminded of from time to time, you know, just to be like, you know, to be like a little bit awake, like, let's not get too comfortable here, you know, like, let's really use our time wisely. You know, we have some degree of freedom that many people in this world do not have. We have some degree of comfort and resources that probably most of the world doesn't have. You know, we're part of this small percentage. So like, what is that all for? We have to think about that. It's not just for us to like kind of rest on our laurels, but like that, let's use that privilege that we have for, you know, investing in something really meaningful. Okay, well, I went off a bit. Any thoughts from anyone, or should we, how are we for time? I don't know what time it is. We have 10 more minutes. Chintamani, where are we? How are we doing?
Just enjoying the amazing Harikata you're giving, Didi. I'm so grateful for your association and everyone being here on the line, that we can all listen together and share in Bhakti. And yes, I just resonate with everything. It's like, what can you say? What can I say? And anyone else have any contributions they'd like to share? Any comments? Seva Ripa?
Here's my done, but no, I'm also very glad to be here and receive so much inspiration and understanding and perspective, and it's nice being in the group where I'm listening to the book rather than reading it for the first time when I did, and it didn't seem the same book that I read, but yeah, it's wonderful. Like the part where Jayadev was reading, where the newcomer and how Lord Krishna embraced him, and I was like, did I even read that part? Because I didn't quite understand, I think at the first time, what was going on, and now it seems to like settle better, and I'm like, that is so sad. It's like such a sad moment in the sense to think that how much time has wasted before he actually got back to Krishna, and how like Lord Krishna was like aching for him, like, where have you been, kind of thing, why did you leave me? And yet I think being caught up here, it feels the other way around. I mean, for so long I felt like, that especially when things are so harsh, I actually felt abandoned. But now, in the light of where I am, it's just it's kind of like shocking in a way to feel like, oh my goodness, what have I been doing, and what have I done, and all the rest. So thank you. Dandavat.
That was beautiful, Seva Rupa. Wow, I feel like you've just embodied the spirit of everything we just read. Wow, that was wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Chintamani, maybe I feel like we haven't heard enough from Tulasita. Maybe I'll just read for 5 more minutes. Is that okay? Yeah, okay, I'm getting some head nods here.
Yes, Didi, please.
Okay, well, we don't want to go too far. I'll just read for 5 minutes. How are we to enter into such a loving relationship with the Lord? Through the grace of Sri Gauranga. One devotee has said, if Gauranga had not come, how could we live? And who would inform us about our ultimate prospect in life? We have such a great prospect. And yet, without Gauranga, who would have come to inform us that we have so much wealth within? And Sri Gauranga says, you do not know, but you have such a great magnitude of wealth. His coming to inform us of our prospect is like the astrologer who reads a poor man's horoscope and tells him, why are you living a poor life? You have immense wealth buried underground. Try to recover it. You are so great and your guardian is so loving and so high. And yet you are wandering like a poor fellow in the street. What is this? You are not helpless. It is not that you have no guardian. You have only to remember your merciful guardian. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Kali Yuga avatar is mentioned, we find evidence of the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There it is said, Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangascha Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Priya Yajantihi Sumeda Saha. In the age of Kali, persons of great piety and intelligence will worship the Lord as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He will appear in a golden form chanting Krishna's name, accompanied by his associates and entourage. After that, there are 2 other verses about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Deyam sada paribhavagyam advishta doham tirtasparam shiva virinchi nutam sharanyam prityartiham pranatapala bhavati potam vande mahapurusha te charanara vindam. Srimad Bhagavatam explains here that same personality who came as Ramachandra and Krishna has again appeared. He has come to direct us to the real fulfillment of life. He is drawing the sweetest nectar from above for the sake of everyone. Meditate only on him and all your troubles will be finished. He purifies all holy places of pilgrimage and great saintly persons by his touch and by his sankirtan. He draws the highest things down from the highest plane. And even Brahma and Shiva, puzzled by his noble gift, will begin to praise him. They will eagerly aspire to take shelter under his lotus feet in surrender. The pains of all who come to serve him will be removed, and their inner necessities will be fulfilled. And he will take care of those who take shelter of him. They will be given protection as well as everything they may need. In this world where mortality rules, where we are continually experiencing the undesirable changes of repeated birth and death, in this area where no one wants to live, a great ship will come for us and take us within. Not some place in outer space, but will take us within and carry us away from this unpleasant position. Let us fall at the feet of that great personality who comes to give us the highest nectar. Okay, I think it's a good place to stop, and we can discuss this verse a bit more next week. It's a very beautiful verse, which it can be read as referring to both Ramachandra as well as Krishna, as well as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Jai, Jai, Shri Bhakti Akshar Shri Hadev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Very happy to be here with all of you again this week. You want to give some